natural process.
Breathing.
Breathing. And how can breathing condition our freedom of a body?
No, breathing doesn't condition your freedom. Breathing itself is physical conditioning.
It's a natural process, right?
Not natural, habitual.
And if we are breathing, it means we are not free.
Who said that?
Since within that, in your mentioned that because through the time there is a body, how can there be freedom? When there is a body, there is death. How can there be freedom? And when there is a body,
What did I say just now? That can you get rid of the body?
so that's why I'm asking. I'm not clear with this.
There is this cloth. What did we say about this cloth? This cloth is there, yet we are free of it, right? There is another layer of clothing underneath this clothing, and that is called the body. Just as you wear this cloth and yet are free of this cloth. Anybody here who wants to say that I am a slave of the clothes I am wearing? You wear it, yet you are free of it. Similarly, you can wear the body and yet be free of the body. The body is saying, I want food, I want food, I want food. Are you under a compulsion to give it food? That moment, very that moment? Yes. The body has been conditioned to be sexually aroused. Are you under a compulsion to fulfill its demands very that moment or ever? Till the time you feel that compulsion, that is slavery.
That's why I was asking. That it was mentioned here that when there is a body, you will compulsory have to breathe. And how can there be freedom? So that's what I
You'll have to read the entire article, beta. पूरा पढ़ना पड़ेगा किस context में है.
It's on freedom only.
It's on freedom, but what is the entire flow in which things are being said?
Sir, it's on the putting conditions on yourself and being free. Like in this, what I interpreted out of this is like if we are conditioned our body that like if I want to go out of this.
Yes, the body is conditioned, right? Yes.
It's written that if we are breathing, it's a condition upon us. And
Yes.
we are conditioning our body of.
The entire process, not only breathing, the entire, from head to toe, the entire process, yes.
So it's a like you said.
It's a conditioned machine. It's a conditioned machine, yes.
Yes, sir. That's
Yes.
why I'm asking
The machine is there. This is too is a machine, right? Just as the body has its own conditioned processes. This too has its own conditioned processes. Does that mean that I have to get attached to it?
but breathing is a habitual process.
This too is constantly receiving signals. Just as you are constantly breathing, this too is constantly doing a few things. Is it not?
Yes.
Does that mean you have to get attached to it?
So I'm not saying you have to get attached with it. I'm saying that breathing cannot stop our freedom, right?
Freedom is not about stopping the processes of the machine. Freedom is about not being attached to the machine. Please understand. Freedom from this does not mean that I break it or stop its processes. Freedom from this means that I am not attached to it. I use it. I know of its particular usage. It is there. Yet it is not too much upon me. I do not start identifying with it. That is what it means. It does not mean that you stop breathing. It does not mean that this stops receiving signals. A machine will continue doing what it does. Freedom from the machine means I am not identifying with that machine. Tomorrow, the machine will experience wear and tear, right? That cannot have a bearing upon my self-worth. One machine can be born fair, the other machine can be born dark in complexion. That will not have a bearing upon who I really am. One machine can be taller, the other machine can be smaller, shorter. That will have no bearing upon who I am. That is what it means. The machine has its processes. One day you will feel moody because of your physical processes. That does not mean that you start taking your moods too seriously. And being a woman, you realize better what I am saying. The body has its own processes. You cannot give them too much weightage. You cannot say that, oh my God, the body is saying this, now I have to follow it. Let the body say what it wants to say. You do what you must do. That is called freedom from the machine. It is not about stopping the functioning of machine. It is about the machine doing what it wants to do and I'll do what I must do.
So you said it's a habitual process.
Yes.
And not a natural one.
No, not natural.
Why do you say that?
Because nature is a far deeper word. We misuse the word nature. There are two kinds of habits. One that you acquire after birth. For example, if you are born in a particular family, you may get the habit of waking up early and taking a bath. This is a habit that you acquire after birth. And there are other kinds of habits that you are born with. Breathing is one such habit. Nature is totally different. Your nature is not related to the body or the mind. Your nature is just clarity, just something else.
It is a biological process.
It's a biological process, yes. So, what you usually call as habit is an acquired social thing. I am expanding the word habit to include biological process as well.
So how can we know who we are?
Same response. Don't you already know who you are? If I ask you to write 20 statements beginning with I am, you will write 200. What's your name?
Namrata.
I am Namrata. Then you also have a surname. I am Namrata. I am Namrata Khanna. I am a woman. I am a student. I am an Indian. I am a Hindu. I am a sister. I am a friend to this. I am smart. I am beautiful. Or whatever. 200 statements.
In your blog also you have said that this identity, that like whatever we think of ourselves, like as a daughter, as an Indian, whatever, this is not our true identity.
But do we know it is not true? We deeply believe in them. It's not a question of saying this here in this hall. That's what you deeply believe yourselves to be. You have taken, see, I'm not saying you are not a daughter or an Indian. Yes, of course I am an Indian and you are an Indian. Yes, of course you are a daughter and I am a son to somebody. There is no doubt about it. But these are our acquired identities. They are all right in their place, but they cannot be taken too seriously. When we raise the question, who am I? We are trying to ask, what is it that we really, truly are? What is it that will remain even if all other identities are taken away? That is what we are trying to ask. But for that to come to us, we first have to, stop taking seriously the other ones. You will never get a good answer if you already have surrogate answers ready with you. The thirst to get the real answer must be very, very deep, overpowering. You must first see with utmost clarity that this is not true, this is not true, this is not true. And when you cry aloud that this, not this, not this, not this, not this, then in that moment, you, as a miracle, just know what is. It's a miracle. It's not a product of logic. There can be no formula about it. You just know in that moment. But that moment has to be first and foremost of complete negation. When you know clearly that then, and it's not difficult. I'm not saying that it's something that is the privilege of a few. It's actually very simple. All it requires is a little attention to one's own life. And what is life? What is going on right now? If you can be conscious of how it is for you, even at this moment, you will realize. Some of you are as attentive as a Buddha even here. And some of you are still disturbed. Just see, this is happening, yes. This never stays still. See, find it for yourself. I'm never present, never really alive, roaming around in my conditioning. When you watch that for yourself, why are my fingers moving this way? Why can't I look straight? Why do I avoid eye contact? When you are honest with these questions, then the possibility of the real answer emerges. But if you are obstinate and you don't have that urge, that honesty towards yourself, then you remain as you are. You will walk out just as you came in.
How can we rid of past self? Why it should be forgotten?
Why it should be?
Forgotten self, past.
Who says it should be forgotten? And can you forget it?
There is something bad in the past that should be forgotten.
Why should you forget it? There are two ways of remembering. What's your name?
So Manish Malik. Sir.
Huh?
Manish Malik.
Munish. Munish, there are two ways of permanently remembering something. One, remind yourself of it every day. You'll remember it. It will become a habit. The second way of continuously remembering is trying to forget. You try to forget and you have made sure that you'll always remember it. Look at the deception of the mind here. You are trying to forget A. What are you trying to forget? A. You are daily trying to forget what? So you will remember? Why must you try to forget? This is a machine which automatically deletes something when it is no longer useful, when it is no longer being called into question again and again. You can say this is a database. You know how databases work? The program calls for some data from the database. This is a database which deletes data based upon the frequency at which it is called. If you do not call some data for a long time, it is deleted. But if you try to forget, you will never forget. How does one really forget? One forgets by seeing that the thing was unimportant. That is how one forgets. When it is unimportant, it gets deleted. Then you don't need to try to delete. It just gets deleted. But the past will become unimportant only when, Munish, you see that the present is important. If you can get immersed in what is happening, where you really are, if you can get immersed in that, then automatically a lot else will become unimportant and it will be forgotten, dropped.